Alright, so here's a typical setup how I start a tattoo. Just regular setup, what I would do every single day. It's not anything special. Always have a setup for a liner, which is a 5 liner. Then I have a 9 shader, and then I use a 15 Magnum curved. Set up tons of color caps, and I set up the last row. Almost a third of the color caps are filled with distilled water, so that if I want to mix some stuff around, I can do it, or use mixing solutions or shading solutions, depends what I try to break it with. Razor, some Vaseline or A&D ointment, and a cup of water, and that's all we need, and a good barrier. So let's see how it goes.
Demo of mine leaked. I don't know
What we basically did is, I just used that because we worked on the computer, and we basically started working on it and adding it out. Okay, so we made track lines. So we're gonna see where we put the stencil down. So we have a proper placement. We made some cuts on the stencil, so it has a chance to fold around like this. That it gives it a little bit. It's always difficult to get a stencil on like that. But that's basically it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Some raw umber, some mocha, rubber doll, some bright sunshine, ruby red, sangria, Mario's light blue, Bahama blue, bright red, lavender, golden yellow, Mario's blue, lining red, magic color. You can never have enough. White. So basic setup, we're having tons of color caps. I like to have all my colors out first. So I have to take as little breaks as possible. A lot of white, yellows, reds, browns. For this specific piece, some gray, and a couple little empty cups still, so we can add some other colors together, and then we mix them up as we get along. Okay, so I like to line with the gray wash light. It gives me some room, and I just like really graze over the skin. I don't go too deep. So this gives us a chance that it's we have the line work done, but it's not really solid lined. So we can shade it and like structure it later on. I only line what I want to currently work on. So I want to work on the bottom of the piece, that I don't irritate this too much. So I start working here and then start shading here right away as well. And I can't even go that far that I'm gonna like color in right away as well. Yeah, stretching is, for my consideration, one of the most vital parts of a good tattoo, because if you don't stretch correct, the needle doesn't keep the same depth. It keeps going in and out because the skin bounces a little bit where the needle goes. So if you don't stretch consistently, then you have an effect what goes like this, and it bounces and the needle goes in like halfway, a little bit, little up, little down. It gives you spots. And a lot of new tattoo artists are just not like trained enough yet to stretch constantly, because it just tires out your wrist and your hands. So in this case, we switch a little.
But you're good now, right? Like 3 or 4 days.
I'm going into the lining red, and I just start lining the inside of the shield. I use the lining red so it's a thinner pigment. It's easier to line. As the color is more concentrated and more compact, and maybe too thick to really lay it in as a line. As smooth, you know, you couldn't go as long. You would have to go only piece by piece by piece. and we want to try to get this in as fast as possible. I even have the habit, what I do right now is because it's such a tricky line to pull a circle that I make it even a little thinner with the mixing solution. So it's a little bit faster for me. So take some umber, put it in some mixing solution, break it down, and start shading it out. Also try to be very consistent. Don't do this. It doesn't work. Just go make small tight circles and go on there. And shade it out. These colors are made to blend, so they're not made to just like spit shade. Take your time. Nice shade. And then the next step I do is I take the golden yellow and I add some white to it. And use it with the mixing solution. And that gives it that strong blend. I don't like to have any empty areas in the tattoo. So every empty skin should be covered. And if it looks white, like the head of the eagle, then we're gonna make it solid white. So you just have to be careful when you do it this way with the magnum that you don't cut the people. So you have to be very fast in and out. You can't keep it running. No, I mean a common mistake would now be that the people want to speed up at that moment, you know, and try to get it like try to get it done, you know. But it takes some time to really get it done, and then also the people keep rubbing with the paper towel, with a dry paper towel on the piece, you know. I mean, when you look at it, there's no blood in it. There's no like almost no redness, you know. I mean, we're using the intense cleanse, so it cools it down, but it's still like, you know, it's just people overworking it sometimes now in this moment, you know. Especially when you go and do stuff what we're doing right now, like layering on top a darker color, you know. A lot of mistakes I made here, but just like not being patient and going and overwork the skin, you know. But it's, you know, it's a very fine line, because this is what's gonna make the tattoo look more three-dimensional. Like, you know, you always have to assume that you maybe have to put another layer on top of it, like another one, you know. So at that time, people just like nailing it in and overworking the skin or pushing it to the limit, and then when they have to put another layer on top, it's a done deal, you know. Skin breaks, and then it starts to get inflamed. So, and I use a lot on the 15, like in every single angle. I turn my machine, you know, I go like up, down. Like I know already I want it a little bit more strong in the blue here. So I just let it sit for a little bit. That I know that I can shade on top of it later on. The paper towel wet as well because that it doesn't smear the colors together, you know. If you dry wipe it, you wipe it into an open wound and it stays there. This is currently like a medium grade. So try to work the hair a little line round, and we try to be very consistent with it, but still make it look like it's strings of hair instead of just a solid area. That's another thing where a lot of people get really impatient and start just rushing through the whole principle. And only hit it once, you don't have to hit it like 2 or 3 times. Last thought is like, do the white at the end, the highlights are really important. And then we finish it with the 5 round, what I started with. I'll make it really, really detailed. And then we should have everything done, so it shouldn't take too long anymore.